r/AskReddit. High school teachers of Reddit, what is the one thing that you want your students to know that you'd never tell them in person? If I didn't think you would abuse the situation, I would really enjoy being more human and casual around you. I think you are a fun person to be around. This one hits home. I was close with a couple teachers through high school and would even put in extra effort in those classes. But when the teacher would get to a comfortable level around us, it was easy to forget that they got there because of the effort I put in, and it isn't an excuse to stop trying cause they like you. I would honestly tell my little kindergartners that life is tough. I love you. Many of you can't count on your parents at all. You're poor and have to work harder. I need you to understand how important your education is for having a better life. But I'm a male teacher in early childhood. Distance is very important and can't afford to have a parent go all mama bear on me. So I just do my best to make them feel valued in my class. The odds of you using any specific piece of knowledge you learn in high school is slim. The odds of you using some piece of knowledge from high school is near absolute, and you have no idea what it's going to be or when it will happen. So you may as well try all of it. The biggest thing you're going to learn is how to learn. I'm going to print this out and hang it in my classroom. To my freshmen, yes, I always know when you didn't do my math because you stayed up late playing Fortnite. You added me as a friend on Epic, so I see that. Also, the amount of homework not done in lower grades when new battle passes come out is so coincidental. To a specific freshman, I support your desire to become a streamer, but editing videos should not keep you away from your homework for a whole week, and your friends always rat you out when you stay home/skip to make/edit those videos. To all high schoolers I teach, you're dumb, but I do love you guys. I'm not stupid, and while I know you cheat on your homework, I don't care, since it's only worth 10% of your grade and you're foregoing the practice you can get before the test. To the 6th graders I teach math to, dear lord, you make me cringe so hard I have to take ibuprofen some days. I have so much more, but my lunch break is almost over. How are you teaching both 6th graders and high schoolers? I teach at a private school. My morning consists of 6th math, 8th algebra, 9th algebra/geometry, 10th geometry, hour apiece. Afternoons I'm the computer teacher. Smaller classes and public school, so a bit more manageable. My Gamertag. I usually say there's a policy against it, but there isn't. I just don't want to play Overwatch or whatever with a bunch of relatively good kids who turn into total monsters when they play video games. If I tell the cool ones, it'll get around. Don't do it. It's like when a kid finds out a teacher's cell phone number somehow. Then the whole school calls. I don't think I ever will. I know some teachers who play more MP games that have done it, and some have serious regrets. I had a math teacher in HS who would only play with you after you graduated, strict policy, but he kept by it apparently. It worked well as a deterrent too, because I had him when I was 16. By the time I graduated I really didn't give two shits about adding him on Steam anymore. I don't care that you came to class stoned. Just stop interrupting class, and for God's sake, don't touch any power tools while you're stoned. I knew a guy that would come into first period stoned. He would always complete his work extremely fast and accurately too. Then he would just stare at his paper or whatever when he's done. Basically a genius when stoned. Edit. I was not anybody's teacher. I had a copy editor at my high school newspaper who was high as fuck every time he edited our paper, but he was the best copy editor and caught everything. He said being stoned just put him in the zone to notice all the little details. Whatever works. I didn't give a shit. Best physics students I knew in uni were always stoned. Help them not overthink everything. Boy, I cold views that. I taught after school care/summer school for a year, and I want so badly to tell them that now is a great time to find out who they are and to stop parroting what they hear other people say. Stop trying so hard to make Jamie like you and be your friend, because even though you and Jamie have been friends since pre-K, people growing apart is normal, and Jamie is a manipulative minge muffin. I kept Owen and other troublemakers close to me in class because giving them just a little positive attention was infinitely preferable to giving them all of my attention in a negative light. Plus, maybe they just needed someone to listen and give them one-on-one, which I'm happy to do. It's useless saying it, because it's not going to make a difference, but this week's crisis won't matter next year or maybe even next week, and it certainly won't matter on your deathbed. Yeah, honestly, Duck Jamie. A few off the top of my head. Just because I like you as a person doesn't mean that I won't fail you. Being smart isn't a justification for being lazy, and I can't pass someone that never hands in work. I moved you away from your friends because they were taking you down with them. You have a real future in sports, but you need to pass my class to play them. Your friends were making you fail, and if you don't get to play volleyball, I don't know what kind of future you have in front of you. I wish that the positivity that you get in my class could follow you home. I've met your parents and they are a nightmare. I do my best to encourage you here, but I know that some days that just might not be enough. I have never and will never find a student intimidating. That's why I laughed at you when you asked me if I knew who your father was. Yeah, he's the manager of a car dealership. That means nothing to nobody. I had a kid throw a desk at me, and while it scared me in the moment, it didn't make me fear him. One day, you will meet someone who has real power, and I just wish that I could be there to see it. Lol, the manager of a car dealership? Jesus, what an ego. My dad got me a nice car for my 16th birthday, so he has to be powerful, was surely his thought process. The kid was a dullard. He was an 11th grader, but functionally illiterate, and had clearly been passed up because he was so annoying. I hate the texts as much as you do, but everyone just shrugs when I suggest changing them up. I'm sorry they made us keep that author laughter book on the list. I genuinely offered to buy them all back from students, so I could burn the waste of time that they are. I had an eccentric literature teacher in high school, Dr. Patik, who was required to teach the Odyssey. He absolutely hated it. So much so, he taught us off of the Cliff Notes. He explained how he was teaching it to us under protest, in his very thick Polish accent. Just another example. He organized the class into rows, then gave each person a rank. The first in the row was the captain, and so on. You got promoted or demoted for getting answers right, but also for completely arbitrary reasons. Depending on his attitude, mannerisms, and overall personality, that last part could be hilarious or terrible. I'm leaning towards hilarious, but my sense of humor is a little warped. Makes me think he's a Polish Dumbledore. 5 points to Gryffindor. Move up. Ah. You don't say thank you. -5 points from Gryffindor. Move back. This was essentially what boarding school was like for me in England. Slightly less arbitrary. You had a card to collect stars. Red stars were good. Usually 1 or 2 stars for doing something good, 5 for doing something exceptional. If your team beat another school team or you were in the school play, you might get 20. If you did something bad, you get a blue star. This was minus, I think, 10 red stars. If you got 3, that was a detention. At the end of a fortnight, or month, or term, I can't remember, you'd add them all up and report them, and they'd contribute to your house total. Yes, there was a trophy. You passed this course because admin forced me to help you and give you 50 chances. Yeah, you may graduate, but nobody will care to help you afterwards. You have no skills, work ethic, or respect. McDonald's doesn't want an employee that stares at his/her phone and curses at employees all day. I'm sorry that your parents failed you. Your inappropriate jokes are hilarious, but I'm not allowed to laugh at them. Yes, you may be smart, but nobody will care after you're done with school. Your future boss won't care about how high your raw intelligence is, so fucking try harder, please. Some of your teachers at this school are really stupid. He's gross. Don't date him. Shut the fuck up while I'm talking. Edit, meant customers in the first example, but I'm sure they would curse at employees too. Proofreading is vital. One of the most valuable lessons I can teach you is to fake looking busy. If we are supposed to be working on an assignment or reading, or whatever, and you see me coming your way, at the least, have a piece of paper on your desk and a pen in your hand and some shit on your paper, and then I won't bother you. If you have nothing going on, and can't even be bothered to make it look like you're trying, I'm heading your way. This lesson will be invaluable with eventual bosses someday. My welding teacher told me something similar about when he was on job sites. If the boss hasn't told you to do anything, then get the biggest wrench you can find and walk around looking worried. The longest has ever done that for was an hour and a half. Yes, I put you in a group with the kid you have a crush on intentionally. I'm stuck here with you 180 days a year. I want to see some drama. Edit. I think this is my most upvoted comment. Glad my matchmaking could make some folks smile. Also, thanks for my first gold. Edit part 2, silver 2. No paparazzi please. But seriously, thanks. I like how you make your own reality TV. It ain't much, but it's honest work. I think what you learn in the other classes is mostly useless rubbish. The things you're supposed to do to learn it is boring and ineffective. And the way our schools are organized is archaic and not fit for humans, much less kids. I'm not saying I liked fights in my classroom. I'm just saying I might have taken a little longer to react when the jerk student/bully was finally getting what was long overdue. Also, thank you to my students who would have my back when they'd kindly remind the class that I exist. Hey, Yalmothadiakus, shut the duck up. Mr. X's Trinitich. I had to look a little disappointed, but I appreciate you, and I thank you for being my voice. Yes, we have a new seating chart, and yes, I sat you next to her, because I can tell you have a crush on her. I noticed you try harder on your work when she is around, and to be honest, you two would make a cute couple. You know that's kind of cute. I'm no longer a teacher, but I remember several days that I felt lazy and wanted to give the class the day off. I never did, because I knew the teacher's pet would rat me out. Sometimes even the teachers don't like the teacher's pet. Oh okay, I first thought every teacher in your country had an actual pet, but I eventually figured out you probably were speaking of Choulica-dude as we call them in French. Outside of the classroom, we would call these people brown nosers, which is my favorite widely and casually used slang. I'd let you get away with so much more if you were actually a decent person who treated others with kindness and respect. Assholes rarely get the benefit of doubt or indifference. Absolutely this. Kids would be surprised by how much freedom they could get if they all tried to be nice to each other. I teach middle school in Taiwan. My students are 60% ESL, 30% intermediate English proficiency, and 10% native fluency. Only have 42 students, so this number is pretty on the money. I want to tell them this. I'm not an idiot. When you are ridiculing me in Chinese, I've picked up phrases and know which ones you're using. Don't act surprised when I give you detention for calling me Bendon, Dumbus, or Beiji, idiot. I know what you're saying, ugh. Bendon. Oh, I second TF out of this. I teach in Cambodia. They think I don't know what they're saying when they talk shit to me in Khmer, even though I know exactly what they just said. Trying hard is necessary, but not sufficient for most accomplishments. Intelligence is necessary, but not sufficient for most accomplishments. I can't tell the sweet, hard-working but unintelligent kid he won't be a doctor. I can't tell the smart but lazy asshole he won't be a doctor. Both end up in my remedial class and blame being in remedial class on mean teachers labeling them. I appreciate childhood is the time for dreams, but it means people make terrible decisions when they don't understand that we just put them at the highest level we think they can pass. We don't know why they are years behind their peers, just that they are. I try to see potential and inspire kids to try their best, I really do. But there's not a lot I can do if someone is dedicated to hiding their low intelligence by trying to appear as a lazy asshole instead, or trying to hide their higher intelligence by pretending to be unintelligent to get easier work. You can be unsuccessful at school, but successful in life. I pretend that it is important for you to do well in my subject, but in reality you'll most probably find your niche in life and be reasonably content or hopefully extremely happy. You might hate maths, English, science, but turn out to be the most amazing parent, artist, carpenter or even a mathematician, playwright or researcher. You might get the lowest scores in class and end up being the most successful of your peers. I feign annoyance, anger, disappointment. I reluctantly phone your parents, give you detentions, or write up critical reports. I have to. It's my job. If you do well in my subject then that's great, but if you don't then just relax. We can't all be good at everything. Oh, and do you think you hate exams, tests, and homework? Your mild dislike of the work is a mere candle flame compared to the hatred that burns like a million suns that I feel when I have to ducking market. The weed smell doesn't magically disappear between the parking lot and my classroom. How do I smell, bro? You're good. Me. You're good too. Do my eyes look red? That we have much better hearing than you assume. We just choose our battles as it pertains to inappropriate comments. And sometimes I pretend not to see that thing you did, just because I too found it humorous, and speaking to you about it would only result in me cracking up. Edit. Well, this really blew up. I'm barely seeing people's reactions to it. I appreciate all the responses. A lot of great comments. And I can definitely share stories for those interested. Haha. It's so funny when they think they're getting away with something but no, it's just near the end of the day and you're too tired to deal with it. I freaked a student out a few months ago. As he passed me out the door I leaned down and whispered, "Don't make paper airplanes in my class anymore." He had no clue I'd seen, went white as a sheet and left. He hasn't done it since, yet. I just wanna say that I love all of you wonderful, underappreciated and underpaid teachers. Teachers got me through some of the worst times of my childhood and adolescence. Except for you, Mrs. Hanson. Fuck you. Edit. It's been almost a month, and I still appreciate people using this comment as a place to go off on the shitty teachers they've had. Teachers are amazing. Keep shitting on the ones who don't deserve to be grouped in with the awesome majority. If I know your name by the third day of a new school year, that means you're probably an asshole. Or, you have a really weird name. When you think you are being genius by getting me to talk about random things at the beginning of class instead of teaching, I'm really allowing it to happen. B/C I don't have enough plan to cover a full class. My favorite high school teacher, he taught history, confessed on the last day of my senior year that he always started class by talking about something completely random because he knew none of us were ready to pay attention right when class was supposed to start. Had no idea. It was a really good strategy that made the transition into the lesson a lot less jarring. I had an American history teacher that did the exact same thing. He was awesome. My history teacher did something similar as well. He also threw markers and other mostly harmless objects at students that fell asleep in his class. Needless to say, he was awesome too. Not a teacher, but an evening janitor. Part of my area is where the robotics club gathers and works. You guys are so amazing. I wish you could see what I see. A group of kids who are well mixed in ethnicity and gender working hard together. I never see signs of drama when I walk by. When I look through the windows I can see that you guys are listening to each other and treating each other seriously while also having fun. When you guys leave at night, your room is my favorite room to clean. It's always so clean already, and I get to look at your projects and see what all that elbow grease is doing. It's so encouraging to know that these kids are part of our future. They stay an average of 2 hours after school every day and you can tell it's not forced. They are so enthusiastic that their energy practically shines into the hallway. I celebrate every time a new award is added to the trophy cabinet in the hall. I've read every parent comment in this thread, and I love yours the most, by a long shot. It's very much the perfect "there's hope for the future" comment, and if I could afford it, I'd gild it with all the silly little things that Reddit has come up with lately. I'm a bus driver. Sit the fuck down, you will die if I crash. Understood. Stands up. I can definitely hear the horrible things you are saying. Yes, I see that you are on the other side of the room. I may be old to you, but I'm certainly not deaf. Also, that teenage boy is definitely going to buy you a Big Mac in exchange for oral sex 100 out 100 times. I need the story on that second one. This girl was telling a boy about how hungry she was and didn't have any money. They didn't think I could hear them, of course. She says, "I'll suck your dick if you buy me a Big Mac." We are not exactly in the best area here. I pretended like I didn't hear it, of course. Edit, counter could. I remember seeing a meme where some girl made fun of short guys and short dude responded with "you gave me head for a Whopper" or something. I guess burgers for BJS are a thing. I teach middle school, not high school, but for me, it's that I know shit sucks at home. I see it every day when you come into my class. I see the tears you're hiding, the pain behind that class clown smile, the emotional fragility behind your tough guy persona. I know exactly what it's like to come from a broken home. I wish I could do something, but until you come to me, all I can do is try and let you know, with a look, a smile, a subtle turn of phrase, that I'm always there for you when you need an ear or a shoulder. My middle school health teacher made everyone smile when they entered his class. Not in a comedic sense, but as a rule. He made it very clear to all of us that our problems, however big or small, do not need to follow us into his class. He promised that for 45 minutes, we got his undivided attention and wanted the same. You need to smile to get into the door. Even if you were having the worst day of your life, you had to smile to get entry into his class. He was the health teacher, and he was big on mental health. He said it is important to smile at least once a day, and he wanted us to meet that quota before his class began. I was a happy kid, good home life, so smiling was always easy for me. The next year, when my family life became a nightmare, I had to promise myself I would smile at least once a day. I broke that promise many times, but I did my best. And you know what? I got to a point where I could trick myself into being happy. It took me a while to finally become happy. I try to smile when I wake up in the morning. I smile when I make eye contact with a stranger. It didn't dawn on me that every time a student smiled as we entered his class, he would also smile back. Part of me wonders if that was the real trick to it all. Having someone smile at you can make you feel better. Smiling at someone can make their day better. Even if you don't mean it, try to smile. Eventually it will become genuine. That it's just as weird for me as it is for you when we bump into each other in public. Edit. Instead of responding to all, I'll tell my story here. I went on vacation with my then GF and bumped into a student 3 states over. We both kind of shook our heads no at each other and kept walking, silently agreeing to not address it. I saw this same student again 2 months later, during the summer, at a concert, where they were underage drinking. We just shook our heads at one another again, keeping that same silent agreement. I saw this same student 4 more times during the summer entirely by accident. It was never discussed. I saw my English teacher at the grocery store one. We made eye contact and I nodded. He nodded back. We kept walking. Said nothing about it the next day. Never brought it up. That's proper procedure. One of my high school Spanish teachers came to view my parents' guest house that was for rent. I made damn sure I went out and said hello to her. I couldn't have my Spanish teacher living 20 feet from my house, even if she was one of the hot teachers. Gabriela, the hot high school Spanish teacher, is looking for a new place to live when she finds a guest house listed on Craigslist. Little does she know it's on the property of the parents of Jimmy, her favorite student.